Welcome to the Lorcana Beehive. We are really excited to be here today. My name's Kevin, and joined here by Judge Justin and by Sam. And we actually have a special guest. It's Omar. He's one of the team members of the Tigger team. And we are really excited to have him here today to have his opinions, to hear about his experience on the team. And he is just one of the premier players here locally. And we are just really excited to have him here to participate in the podcast and to lend us his experience and his knowledge. So thank you so much for joining us here, Omar.
What up? Yeah, of course. No problem. Glad to be on, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Super excited to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to have a teammate on finally.
Okay, welcome to the team, Sam.
Right?
That's right.
And we are going to be starting here our 8th episode of the Lore Lowdown. So thank you for all you that are joining. Thank you for all who are participating. We also have some very exciting information, just getting right into it, about giveaways. We announced last week that we are going to be doing some giveaways of some sponsored material, some sponsored product from Oasis Games. So shout out to Oasis. Thank you again for providing this wonderful opportunity for all those who are listening to our podcast. I think I'll turn it over to Justin for giveaways.
Yeah, let's go. All right. So yeah, we had obviously another huge shout out to Oasis Games for providing the product. We had a total of 7 packs. So I was wrong last week. I said 6 packs. That was my bad. We have a total of 7 packs to give away. We'll start with packs. We had great engagement on the packs. And as just a reminder from last week, the giveaway requirement was to provide a comment on any of our 3 platforms. So we have 3 platforms that we're currently on. We're on Apple Podcast, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube. So it was just, hey, put a comment down and then you're entered to win packs. And then we'll go through the gift card here in a second too. So the pack winner, we'll start off with the first winner of an Inklands pack, which was Cody Horner. So congratulations, Cody.
Hey, Cody!
I'm on a text thread with you, so just get with me and I'll get you your Inklands pack. The next winner of an Ursula's Return pack was my wife, Alicia Smith. Congratulations. Good job. Babe, obviously come smack me in the head when you get home from work and I'll get you your pack. And then our winner of Shimmering Skies pack was Spencer. So congratulations, Spencer, for winning the Shimmering Skies pack. Or I should say Heartthrob, because, we all know him by that name. And then the final winner, because obviously I said we were going to do 3 packs last week, but that was before I actually went and checked how many packs I had and found out I had 7. So we'll do a 4th winner this week, which is our good friend DJ, the resident, enchanted dealer, I should say. So
Mr. Enchantment.
And he's getting
richer.
And he's getting a rich get richer. And he's getting a Reign of Jafar pack. So congratulations, DJ. Good job. Get
Free
with
stuff
me.
king.
Yeah, right. Excellent.
We all know that he's going to pull another one, so it's going to be great.
Hey, if you do pull enchanteds out of these packs, we want to hear about them. So please let us know, because that would be really cool to see people getting enchanteds out of these packs. So we'd like to see that. And then the next giveaway is for our gift cards. We have 2 of them, but we're giving away 1 this week. And that one went to my wife, Alicia Smith. Congratulations. You get the giveaway for the $20 gift card to Oasis Games. So that's our giveaways for the week. A few reminders about giveaways for the remainder of the month, as well as next week's giveaways. So we have our giveaways for additional packs, our giveaways for the gift cards. We're going to keep it simple and just do the exact same giveaways as we did before. Just comment on any of our platforms and you'll be able to be entered in for the packs and for the gift cards. Remember, the gift card, you have to comment your favorite deck and why, and the packs, you just have to comment. But if you do one comment that is your favorite deck, it enters you for both. And then the other giveaway that we're going through all the way through the end of 2025 is for the mat from Oasis Games, and I posted that on our Discord. And if you're not on our Discord, that is how you enter for that mat, is you have to join the Discord. So as long as you're on the Discord, you have been entered already. If you haven't joined our Discord, what are you doing? Because that's where all the information's at, and that's where you need to be so you can get the deck lists, so you can get all the information about the next giveaways, about the next big tournament. It's a great place to get all this information in one spot. We love the Facebook page, but I feel like the Discord gives us a little bit more active engagement. We're able to communicate with each other directly. So definitely get entered in for the rest of those giveaways. We'll go forward with that next week, put a bunch of comments in there, give us all the information that you need. Also give us feedback. We've already talked about this several times. If you don't like something, or if you think that something needs to have more of it, or if you just want to give us good attaboys, give us some feedback. Throw comments on there. Let us know what we're doing great. Let us know what we're doing not so great. And then if you feel like we deserve it, give us a like. Sorry, Sam.
If you comment your favorite deck 3 times on each platform, that's 3 entries into both giveaways too. So
yep, it may be how my wife won that gift card. I don't know. She did 3 entries. So
we'll call it nepotism this week, but I think
she's a net baby due to the podcast. Cool. Well, that's all I have for giveaways. Definitely go through, comment, get entered again. We want to have a much bigger pool of giveaway for next week, so let's go for it.
Absolutely. We are very excited. And following up, how's everyone's Christmas?
Amazing. So much fun. You see my Christmas hat? I have my Wilderness Explorer hat on. I am going to slowly adopt my role into Russell, the Wilderness Explorer, because I feel like every time somebody describes me as a lore guide, that's what I think of in my brain, of just, good afternoon. My name is Justin. I am a lore guide. Is there anything I can help you with today, sir?
You're going to need to start talking like that at events. See you at Oasis on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm judging Oasis. So, yeah, come there and I'll give you my best Russell impression.
Anyone yells judge, you show up with that cadence of speech, and we'd be like, all right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
This is going to be interesting. Just look down, straight down at my Junior Woodchuck guidebook.
Exactly. And I have to find some patches for you. I'm going to make some custom patches that's going to have like each of the ink symbols on it, and you're going to have to attach that to your hat or something.
That would be amazing. I would love that so much.
Get you a sash.
Yeah, I need to do a sash. I mean, I've got my scout shirt. I'll just put that on because I feel like that's a pretty close comparison to the Junior Woodchuck, was it the Wilderness Explorers?
The Wilderness Explorers.
Yeah, yeah. Just gonna have some fun with it, right? We're gonna do some goofball things at tournaments.
I mean, other people dress up for these events. It's your turn, so let's do it.
Yeah. Right. This is what I wanted to bring up. I thought this was kind of a fun one. I was talking with my wife about it. It feels like the Lorcana sets are behind as far as like holidays. Like we had Halloween, and then they're like, oh yeah, here's this Halloween set right after it. And now we have Christmas that's just done. And then they're like, oh yeah, here's this Christmas set. It feels late, right? It feels like if they would release these sets before the holiday, maybe they'd get a little bit more engagement on it. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts around that?
I think it's hard. Halloween and Christmas are only 2 months apart, but the sets are 3 months apart. So either way, they were going to miss one of them. So I figured if they were thinking about it in that way, you might as well get the Halloween one as close to Halloween as possible. And then winter just kind of seems like winter spell would just be the whole winter season. And it comes out in the middle of winter, so.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
I mean, I do agree that if they had worked it out so that they were before the holidays, I mean, both of the holidays, it would have had to have the Halloween set release, in September, right?
Yeah.
And then the other one would have to be released in December. So it'd be like early September, early December, which would have worked, I suppose. But I don't know. I felt like Fabled for what it was as a reprint set. I don't. This is my first time engaging in a TCG that had a reprint set. So I don't know. The representation of reprints in that set was so big.
Yeah.
There was only 33 new cards in the whole new set, right? And while I did appreciate the concept behind it of getting new players, the access to the cards that are now in the new rotation format, and I did appreciate the theming that they did with like introducing the IPs of Dumbo and Goofy Movie. I felt that set was pretty fleshed out, but as a competitive player, I did feel like I opened up a bunch of stuff that I didn't need. I already had it.
Open a bunch of packs, and it was like, oh, I have this card. Oh, I have this card. Plus, they short printed the legendaries that were new, which was really lame. I've been on social media, Twitter specifically, that'll just give you content but I've been getting a bunch of Japanese posts lately, and they've been opening. I don't know, how does it work, Kevin, with how does their Fabled stuff interact? Because I'll see like their box opening, and it's got set 7 stuff and set 9 stuff.
Yeah, so the way that they had it split up with Japan is they're still trying to catch up to us, right? They started late in the game, and what they did to try and make sure that their community had as many cards as possible and to try and catch up to us as fast as possible was that during their release of set 7 and 8, which is Azurite Sea and Reign of Jafar, Acacia's Island and Reign of Jafar, whenever they opened up a box, they also had a promo card or promo pack of Fabled cards in there as well. So they didn't get a whole ton of product every time that they opened up a pack because their boxes are smaller than normal. And then they only got a couple of packs per box. So I feel like they, as far as talking short prints, I feel like they really got short printed on Fabled.
I don't know. I've been looking at these box openings from them, and they are just swimming in the Dumbos. It's like incredible. Yeah.
They're just like,
It's
here, we're
making
going to
me
give
frustrated
you the
because if you
best
see a
card.
box opening, it's like a couple Tamatoas and then like 4 Dumbo. I'm thinking,
Sick.
where was that for us? I needed Dumbos bad.
Everybody needed that and
Right.
Tamatoas. I remember watching Tigers just ripping box after box, man, trying to get Tamatoas back when Arcasia's Island came out.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Right?
They get all the privilege over there. Moving to Japan, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, just start buying some of the packs from them, right? You can still play them in your...
True.
The boxes are cheaper.
Technically. I don't know, because there was a whole thing...
Enchanteds and Dumbos out of these promo packs must just be the heat.
Yeah, I mean, there was a whole thing for a while there where people were worried about being able to cut to like the Japanese cards because they were printed on almost different stock, right? And they were pretty easy to quote unquote cut to. But the more I've talked with the judging community, the less that's a concern. Like, we're not seeing that as a big problem. So play your Japanese cards, especially on the U.S. tournaments and stuff. All of the languages are legal in theory. You just need to know what the card does in the end of the day. And if your opponent doesn't know, they can call a judge over and ask for that information because the judge will then just pull up the card in the Lorcana TCG companion app for them to view it. So that is all possible. But yeah, you can play those.
Isn't it legal to just pull that up at the table too? Because it's a official Lorcana thing. Like, you can do that on your phone.
Yes, you can do it on your phone. I mean, I would recommend calling a judge over anytime you're mucking around with your phone anyways, just so that way they're there. And then
you
also,
can use the lore thing in there is legal too, right?
Yes. Yeah, the lore thing in there, the lore tracking in there is legal as well. But also, when you're like looking something up, bring a judge over. That way they can give you a time extension as well, because that would be the other concern is you looking up a card and it takes you 2 minutes or whatever. Might as well get a time extension out of it as well.
That makes sense.
I don't know. I think when I was talking to my wife about the weirdness of how the sets are kind of behind the holidays, it feels more and more like Fabled was this like injected set more than a planned set. And I know that they talk about planning these sets years in advance because they have to print them, they have to, whatever. But it feels like they almost just injected Fabled in there. And like the other piece of evidence that I have for this is the incorporation of Maleficent Monstrous Dragon as the set champs card. We've been screaming from the mountaintops, I think, from ever since like Stitch, to have a playable / previously playable card as the set champs card. And it seems like with Fabled they did that and they injected the Maleficent Monstrous Dragon, and then obviously we're kind of returned to normalcy basically into Whispers in the Well, because now we have this Daisy that literally no one plays. So it feels kind of very injected. I don't know, it gives me a little bit of hope that maybe they can do more of this in response to player feedback, to where they can actually inject sets into their scheduled releases and kind of just delay other sets out. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. Maybe there's not as much planning as I'm kind of giving credit for. But it feels like Fabled was just an injected set, in my opinion.
I feel like Ravensburger as a whole just kind of misses the mark on like prizes. The Gold Mickey, don't get me wrong, it's like an incredible thing to play for, right? But on the local level, it seems like a missed opportunity, a missed win to just not... Like, they see the prices of their Princess Enchanteds, right? They see the prices of all of the hype cards, and then they just choose, like, the least desirable thing to put on a playmat. Like, nobody wants Mirabelle. I'm sorry. Like, that's like $5 still. I don't know. But, like, imagine the hype set champs would have had if he just put, like, the Fifth Spirit Elsa on a mat, right?
That'd be wild.
It's like a playable card. Yeah, everybody would be showing up.
That said, I was pretty underwhelmed at the hype of the Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. Like, maybe I was overhyping it myself in my own brain, but it didn't seem like people were turning out in troves for the Maleficent Monstrous Dragon either.
Well, I think it kind of missed its time, right? It's like, it's a really cool looking card, but it's not good anymore because you can't play blue-red in any capacity and win. So it's like the only deck it would go in is like 3 tiers down from the top decks. You're just not beating Amethyst decks with blue.
Yeah,
right now.
I completely agree with that. I think that Maleficent, if they had done Maleficent Monstrous Dragon at maybe store champ or set champ number 2 or number 3, like if they had just done a reprint or whatever, a retro one, then I think it would have really taken off at that point. But being released with Fabled, it missed the mark.
But it's hard for a company too, because you want your chase hit in the set, right? You can't just put Dumbo on your mat and you give everybody a Dumbo promo, right? You can't do that because you need people to buy your packs. But they could, I think they should do more like rares and super rares rather than legendaries. So if they had like pick your most playable rare or super rare and put that on the playmat and give that as the promo, you'd have a ton of people coming.
Yeah, I think that's
especially if it's like a different art.
Alternate art rares would be really cool to see for, I think, a promo. I like that idea.
Yeah, like imagine Genie on a mat. Imagine Genie's your promo, or like pick any
Mowgli.
Pick any of like the good rares, higher end flavor.
Mowgli.
Mowgli. Yeah.
Dude,
Mowgli would be interesting.
Mowgli would go hard.
Yeah, he's kind of a fun playable card in general, and I've seen very few of him as I've been ripping packs, so it'd be kind of fun to see that as a.
But you guys are right. Like nobody's playing this Daisy. Nobody ever will. No. And the mat's not even that interesting either. Like the coolest mat, in my opinion, has been the first 2. Right? Like Stitch was sweet. It was good to play for.
Stitch was
It was
awesome.
hard to earn, right? So it's like that one was. If you have one of those, that's kind of like a relic from past times. But the Ursula one was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
And then all the rest of them have been kind of mid. Maybe Scar was pretty cool for some people.
I was like, Scar was all right.
Yeah, I thought the Scar mat was great. I thought they should have zoomed in more on the Scar mat, right? Like I feel like the incorporation of the hyenas, like you might as well just have like the number 1 there, right? Like put Scar front and center for me. I'd prefer that. I thought the Maleficent mat was really cool, honestly. Like it's a great mat.
I agree.
Until I noticed that they're releasing a Dragonfire mat in Winterspell, and I was like, that one's cooler. I don't know. I like the Dragonfire one more. Like,
is that the straight to store one?
Yeah, it's a straight to store one. It's like I was like sitting there and I was like, it's a good thing they announced that after set champs for Fabled, because if they would have announced that before, I'd have been like, all right, we're good. And I know what mat I want now. I'm just gonna go buy that Dragonfire mat. But
right. But I mean, if we're talking popularity of promo cards, I still think that Maleficent Monstrous Dragon is probably in the top 3. It's still going for $25 online. So, I mean, it's not Stitch. Stitch goes for like $100 to $200 right now. But I think Ursula and the first few of them are going for a little bit higher. But as far as recent releases for set champs cards, Monstrous Dragon's still pretty popular.
Yeah, well, it's a dope looking card in general. I put it right next to my Dragonfire foil promo from that I bought when I was
DLCs.
in Denver. Yeah, I was a big fan. I was like, I've always wanted that card, and then I saw it in Denver for like $25. I was like, I'll buy it, and I bought it, and then
it's sick.
They reprinted it, and it went up to like 60 the next day. I was like, let's go, made some money off that.
Nice.
So it worked out. I wanted to get into that a little bit and just talk about kind of the sets and how it feels like they could do some like injection dependent on player feedback, but
I think
not.
Like a little deeper than that too. I think they're gonna have to start thinking about these things like really heavily if new card games are gonna come out and just blow them out of the water with prizes. Like if you look at the Riftbound like prize structure, they're giving away like metal cards for people that do the best with crappy colors, right? Like imagine you go to a DLC and you could play, green red, and if you do the best with green red, you get this like thematic prize for it, right? You'd have people playing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna have to like take a really hard look at their prize structure and how they want to give out product, because as of right now, they're slowly bleeding people to Riftbound, and it's not like it makes sense to me, because if all card games are kind of the same to you, right? You just play to play card games, and you play with your friends, and you just play to have fun, right? You're just gonna pick the one that has the best prizes and the best like local scene. So
right.
I think they have to take a look at like how they structure set champs, like their seasonal stuff, their league play too, because isn't it in Riftbound too, you get like a league pack every week and it can have crazy cool promos in it and stuff?
Pretty sure. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
like
enough
that.
about it, man. I kind of like...
You're right.
Well, Yu-Gi-Oh did the same thing, right? You'd go every week to play for the pack that had, you could get your ultimate rare whatever.
Mhm.
So I think if they don't start doing that, it's gonna like 2020, the end of 2026 is gonna look real bleak because we have very few events in that time. We still don't know what their structure is for Worlds and after. So I think they're gonna have to take like a good hard look at their game, or I would like them to.
Well, the other thing that I noticed too with Riftbound specifically is that their communication is just it's not amazing, but it's like head and shoulders better than what we've seen from Ravensburger up to this point.
It's there, right?
Yeah, like they actually
are
talk to their
Yeah.
player community like, hey, this fell short. We didn't like this. We want this to be better. And I feel like Ravensburger continues to kind of just put the TOs in the hot seat and say like PPG, I don't know if you saw, and we talked about this previously, but when they did their Denver Pro Play Summit, they had the infamous issue of round 2 crash and wipe, right? Where round 2 happened, everybody kind of finished, and all their reports got crashed. They lost all the data, and so they just said, screw it, we're going to do round 2 again. Which was a very unpopular choice because a bunch of people who won round 2 ended up losing round 2 at that point. And I was one of the ones that had lost round 2 and ended up winning round 2 after that because they made round 3 round 2 and then just added an extra round at the end, which was also really weird because then like I was playing somebody who'd lost previous round. I don't know. It was weird. It was a really weird setup. But anyways,
That's Denver, right?
Yeah, that was Denver.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I was one of the unfortunate people that won round 2. Then I think that whole thing like disrupted my tournament experience.
Yeah.
The guy I played against in that new round 2, whatever you want to call it, he ended up drawing the last round. And then the round that we played, we ended up drawing, and then that's just spiraled downhill. So
yeah.
Well, it affected the Tigers really bad, right? Because Ekroth, it mattered for him heavy because like they messed up the pairing. So we got paired against somebody he shouldn't have got paired against, and that was the legal round. So it affected his tiebreakers like really late, and he got 17th instead of 16th, right? So it's like that tournament was like a dagger to the heart for a lot of people.
Super scuffed. And then so with that though, no response from like Ravensburger, even though it was their play hub that crashed. The only people that responded to that was PPG. Months later, they sent out an email saying, "Hey, we feel bad. We're going to send y'all a promo." It was the Ana promo, which I haven't gotten mine yet, even though they offered it to everybody. I don't know if any of you guys got yours yet.
I told him to keep it.
You told him to keep it. You're like, I don't even.
Yeah,
want
I was like, this cannot like justify my tournament experience. Like, don't even waste it. You know what's crazy? Like, you got the CCQ in Vegas. I still haven't got because I played in the 1K on Sunday. I still haven't gotten my check from that either.
No way.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, not being serious. I have to talk to Ben about it to see if Ben got his or not. But yeah, I still haven't. It's only $50, which I'm not like tripping about. But yeah, it's.
But that was Star City
like almost a
Games
month
too,
ago.
right?
Yeah.
So
Well, it's a shame that like Ravensburger relies on these like these third-party tournaments to drive their engagement throughout the year, right? Because they only have the 3 DLCs, and then they have to provide structure, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm really glad that they give like official structure to these third parties. Like they give them an invite to the Continentals, and they give them promos and stuff. But it's a shame that that's like the only engagement that they have, because these things will crop up is where they can't, like, you're gonna just leave it up to these companies that it's like their third or fourth game, so they take their sweet time on giving you stuff.
Well, and to that point, right? Like even with the DLCs, Ravensburger relies heavily on the TO, right? Like I don't know how much engagement Ravensburger actually has with pastimes. It didn't seem like a lot when I was at Milwaukee. It didn't seem like Ravensburger was really kind of imposing their will outside of wanting to do very specific things with the streaming schedule. With pastimes, they wanted to have very specific items. They wanted to have certain pictures taken into like top cuts and then like top 8 and stuff like that. They wanted to have these players come back on the stage and do stuff like that. There was even talk about, I think, and it got shut down, but there was talk about in Milwaukee streaming every single match in top 8, and basically like you would have like 1v8 play and everyone else would just wait for that to finish. And then they would have 2v7 and so on and so forth down the list. They were talking about doing that. And then somebody shut it down. I'm pretty sure it was Pastimes. It was like, no, this is ridiculous. You can't do it. So there's certain things that they kind of like try to impose their will, it sounds like. But then there's other stuff that they just leave completely up to the TO. And like with the PPG stuff, at least PPG sent something, right? Obviously, it wasn't going to solve a lot of problems for people, especially the ones that had super negative experiences from the, you know, the round 2 crash. But at least they responded. Like, you would expect that response to come from Ravensburger if we were to look at what is happening with Riftbound, where Riftbound comes out and says, hey, this experience wasn't what we wanted it to be, and they're taking the ownership as the company. Like, maybe they're not even taking the ownership. Maybe that is a third party that's responding on Twitter, but it's the appearance of response. Like, that's all you need.
It's
you
a public announcement, right?
Yeah, you just need the appearance of some sort of a public announcement of like, hey, this is what we're doing. And, you know, now we're starting to get some stuff from Ravensburger, but it like trickles to us in like the weekly lorecast, and then they're not very engaged on social media, which is really annoying because I think social media is just how everyone gets their news these days anyways. No one's joining a Twitch stream to get the news about the next thing from Ravensburger. They're just going to wait until somebody who joined the Twitch stream uploads all of the content of the Twitch stream onto Facebook or Twitter or wherever, and that's where you're going to get the information. Yeah, Discord. That's where you're going to get the information. And so I feel like Ravensburger's just not, they're kind of like just missing the mark on a lot of different spots for that engagement. And to your point, as more card games come out that have attractive IPs, just like Riftbound with League of Legends and things like that, you know, you're still going to have your Disney people that want to stick around because of the Disney IP, but the serious gamers that want to get in there and win prizes, they're going to slowly start to walk away towards other card games because they feel more heard and more engaged with at those other card games.
Yeah, I hope they feel the pressure because it's definitely on right now.
I don't know, I felt like, again, this is a first TCG in a long time, but I felt like at the very beginning of Lorcana being released, Ravensburger was more responsive. I felt like, you know, with the first few rounds of set champs, they were responding to some of the complaints that were coming out pretty quickly. There's some quick turnaround time. But I have to agree that with recent competitive events, the silence has been heard. So that is unfortunate.
Yeah, what did we have in season 1? Like 6 DLCs? Was it even more than that?
Mm-hmm.
There was a ton.
No.
And then we went to 3. Everybody was really shocked.
And not only 6 DLCs, but 6 sold out DLCs, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
It's not like
In
some of
seconds.
those DLCs didn't hit, you know, their numbers, or like even the Melbourne DLC sold out. Like let's be like, and I think probably half the competitors at Melbourne were from not Australia. So like, you know, it's pretty insane to me that you would say, oh well, we had so much engagement from our first round of DLCs, let's do less this year. Like I don't like money, apparently.
Like we have to go to Belgium to compete in the last
Which is
one
crazy.
of the season, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair though, they aren't saying that we're doing less, they're just spreading it out across the world more. So
No, they
we're
did
doing a lot
less.
more.
No, they did less overall. It was less.
It was way less. Like they had 6
100%.
in the US and then 6 in Europe. Like they had 18, I think,
no,
total
you're
across
right.
all regions, and this year they had 12 across all
They had
regions.
12.
They split that up 4,
Okay.
3 and 3 or something.
Well, and to be
Yeah,
fair,
that is interesting.
if the quality goes up, that's not a problem. But
Right.
if the quality stays the same and you do less things, it doesn't improve the players' attitudes, right? And you know,
Yeah.
you don't want to have, hopefully they don't fall victim to like the other Disney, you know, attacks of like starting to blame the fan base, right? Like don't blame the players here and start to tell us that we
Please.
have
the
unrealistic
concern-
expectations, right?
The concern on Twitter right now is that legitimately Richmond might be our last like core constructed event until 2027, because you have that one, and then the next DLC in the US that is course construction, or that even exists, is Indianapolis, which is Infinity. And then after that you don't get to play in Continentals unless you were invited, so that doesn't count towards
And then
like,
there's
what
Worlds.
people would talk about as a core constructed event I could go to. So you have the Continentals, then you have Worlds, and they haven't released when the next DLC is. So it could very easily be 2027, and that's just kind of scary to not to have a single event to go to in 2026.
If they follow the pattern of last year, they'll be adding some LCQs though, so I'm hoping that they do that as well.
I was gonna say,
Absolutely.
didn't they have a last chance qualifier, like literally at
They did.
Continentals?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, you have the last chance qualifier. Like if they haven't really announced it, but I would just assume that they're gonna have.
Yeah,
one.
but is that going to drive, like, it's not going to have DLC numbers to the like last kind of qualifiers. Like,
It didn't in the last one, so I wouldn't expect
right,
it would happen to this one.
man.
To me, it's one of those things too, though, where they're doing it. The one leverage they have is that they're doing it near the Disneyland park. So it's like, hey, take your family on vacation to Disneyland, and also, hey, play some cards while you're here. There's a potential for that scenario where people will travel for that.
That'd be great, but Worlds is closed to the public, so
yeah,
it makes no sense.
I mean, hopefully they open up Worlds, because I don't know. I know that they tried to really focus on like, well, the statement was that they wanted to focus on like the players' experience there at Worlds.
No,
but I'm
it's
like,
a spectator. Worlds is a spectator sport. Like,
it should
not...
be, yeah. Like I would much rather have somebody as a player. I'd much rather have an audience of people watching me play than just be like on a live stream.
Lorcon has always been about selling a product, right? So I don't know. It seems like you would want more people there.
Hopefully they start to figure out what they can do to incorporate engagement. I'm hoping that they just look at what's happening with Riftbound and they could say, oh, maybe we should do some more of that, because there's communication. And like I said, it's not even like the bar's very high. Like just talk to us. Just tell us what's going on. You know, the judge program feedback that they gave on the lore cast when they announced the core documents and then announced the lore guide title, that was great. But then I haven't seen the quiz that they said was going to be on before 2026, so hopefully it's released before 2026. And then the other piece of the lore guide documents is that it's so like non-competitive oriented that it feels very lackluster. Like the current core documents don't talk about competitive play really one bit. So still read them. I think they're important to understand and have expectations for people like me at set champs. But, you know, like that was lackluster, and people have literally been crying and screaming for any type of judge program, I think, since the game was created. And so
since the beginning, for sure.
And so, yeah, it's like that was the first response, and it was lackluster. And then it just feels like that's what we continue to get from Ravensburger, is these like half responses, half not responses, and also like delivered in a really weird format to where you have to be like on a Twitch stream to know what was delivered, or you just wait for some other member of the community to deliver the information to you, which feels bad. But hey, I guess that's their model that they're trying to go for. Hopefully they can learn something from Riftbound, though. I think that would be great for them.
Yeah, that's like our best case scenario, right? Is they take just some feedback on like what other card games are doing, and then maybe change their 2026 plans to accommodate some of the, especially local events, I think, too. Like your DLCs are one thing, and you should always try to incorporate as much as you can into them, but the local scene is going to keep your game alive.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a pretty good question, though. Like, if you were to design the local price structure, the local communication, like how would you want that to be?
The price structure?
Like, what would you want to see?
I mean, for me, I think the price structure that I would like to see is just more in the top cut. I think that's the concern I have the most. Is it was very good that they did top 8 for the promos, just because it felt bad to hit top cut and then miss out on a promo. But it also diluted the market significantly so that the promo card wasn't as valuable. I think if you were to switch that around and maybe do like the mats as the top 8 and then do a single promo card as the championship card, like maybe that's one strategy. But then I think it comes back to the annoyance that I have and the reliance on the TOs to do what they will. I think Ravensburger should incorporate some sort of expectation from a pricing structure based on the price of the tournament to say, hey, if you're charging X for your tournament, you should have, you know, pack per win or whatever, right? Some sort of like, hey, this is the recommended pricing structure. That way, when a TO doesn't do it, then the players can understand the implications of that, and they can see the differences of what other TOs offer. And we've talked about previously how spoiled we are in Utah, where, you know, we have like $15 tournaments and we can go and play, and we get usually like a pity pack or, you know, whatever. Like it's actually really good in comparison to places like Florida, where I've heard horror stories where there's like $40 for the tournament and they get nothing, and they just get, you know, the cards and the play mat, right? Like I've heard horror stories about that, but I also don't feel like the proper way to approach your own prizing of whether or not it's lackluster or good is to say, well, somebody did it worse. Like, I don't feel like that's the way of handling that. I feel like there's an expectation that most players have, and that's what people should be living up to as TOs. And then from there, hopefully Ravensburger would incorporate some sort of like guidance to say, hey, you should probably do this type of prizing structure. But even then, they have their own trouble at their own big tournaments. So I don't know if they would be the right people even to put in the pricing structure. But that's my thoughts on the local scene.
I was just gonna say there's 2 stores in Utah in particular that I will never go to. I'm not gonna say who they are, but they know who they are, and they know, and everyone knows that they go to these events, or that's gone to these events knows what happened. So the first one, they capped it out, and like a lot of stores do cap it out, right? But like they don't really like get the cap out. But this store in particular over capped, right? And so they were like calling like their managers or whatever, like, hey, we reached like the cap. Should we keep adding people and stuff, right? And then they're like, ultimately they decided to add people, which is cool, right? Because then you're like, oh, if we had more people, more prizing and stuff. Literally nothing changed. Like they just kept the money for themselves. Yep. No additional packs in top 8. It was literally just like you played for the card and played for the mat, and that was it.
Yep.
I think you got like 2 packs in entry or something, but like it was whatever. And then another store, people probably heard about this because it was like the whole like buzz for about a week, was like they actually lost their like allegedly lost their cards.
Yeah.
And so there's some kids that made top 8 that event, and they're like pretty bummed out because there was like, oh, like I made it in top 8, I only have my card, like they're just like baffled and stuff. And so I mean, like, yeah, they need to like get their stuff together because like at the end of the day, we're still gonna play this game, but it's like good to get like incentivized for like making the time off of work and like having a weekend to just do this stuff, like fully committed to it.
Right.
Sure.
I was gonna say the OP kit's cool, right? For you get your league play. Like the promos are usually pretty sweet, but they don't really incentivize like any of the competitive play, and then that's where all of their bigger rewards come from. So I would really like to see them do like a week by week. This is if you run at a competitive event, you give these rewards, and that like I don't know. In my mind right now, like the coolest thing I can think of is like a pack of cards that comes with like like maybe what they deem is like staples, right, from all the sets, or even just like a 4-set block. But then they have like the possibility of like alternate arts in there, or like different rarities, something. I think that would drive a lot of people to play like a weekly. Like instead of you just show up and play for League, and it doesn't matter what you do because you'll always get the promo cards at the end of the 4-week block, right? Even if you didn't play in 1 week, you could still probably go and get your play set from some of these TOs because
they have a million of them.
People. Yeah, they get way too many for the amount of people they expect to see. So, well, that might be a Utah problem too because we just have infinite game stores. Yeah. So I could just go to the one with the smallest turnout and get my play set day one, right? So that doesn't really feel like it drives a weekly event to me. And then, especially where I'm situated in Utah, we have like 4 players that want to play weekly in like a constructed like tournament. So I think if they can solve that problem, it would go a long way, especially for set champ seasons and DLCs. Like if you want people to play competitively in this game, I think that would help all of the others, because if you reward the weekly competitive, you'll start thinking about what you can do for set champs, and I think that would just drive engagement and rewards for other tiers of the game too.
I mean, I know that early on they used to have a chart. There was like this chart that was released that was like, if you play, then you get so many stickers on the chart, and if you win, you get more stickers or whatever, and like built up over the few weeks of League. And while I don't particularly enjoy getting stickers every week and building on a chart every week, I do think that the local scene does need just a little bit of a goal to work toward. I think that they need something at the end of the rainbow, as they say. So whether that's a individually constructed promotional pack with alternative arts, I think that would be really cool. I think other TCGs do that, and they do it to great success. If it's a matter of switching up what the pricing is at store champs, of having a bunch of mats and some non-foil promos, and then the first person gets a foil promo, making that more exclusive and more expensive, and therefore more sought after by competitive players. Whether it's whatever idea, I think that they do need to change it up, and they have shown in the past that they do change up their structure. They did move from the existence of just foil promos to having some non-foil promos for those participants. They did move from having the top 4 to expanding it to the top 8. So they are willing to listen and make some changes. So I think that if we are able to express this need, and Ravensburger would be willing to listen.
See, that's the problem though. How do we tell Ravensburger?
Yeah.
Like
tell him to watch the podcast.
Yeah, I'll send it over.
Listen to the podcast.
But that's the thing that drives me crazy too, is that like you talk with these TOs, and I've sat and talked to many TOs because I've judged for a lot of them, and I'm like, hey, like you should talk to Ravensburger about this, and it's like, okay, like they'll send them an email and there's zero response, like there's no feedback, no guidance, none of that stuff. And so it makes you wonder if it's because they just don't have the capability to respond. And that's the trouble, is I don't think that they don't care. I think that it's just they don't know how to run a TCG is probably what's happening here. And so they discounted these pieces of it. But like the funny thing that you mentioned about the OP kit, Sam, it's great until they removed the one thing that everybody wants, which is the pins. And they're like, oh yeah, we're going to take those out. Like the one
Here,
thing...
have some stickers.
Yeah, here's these stickers. Like when I first saw the sticker, I was like, oh dope, it's another, they're re-releasing the pin. And I was like, no, they're not. It's a sticker.
Every league I've been to since they released the stickers was like, you can have as many of these as you will actually take. Like if you want the entire stack, you can have the entire
Just
stack.
take it.
We hate these.
Yeah, we're not going to ever get rid
stickers.
of them. I hand them out to people randomly just because reasons.
But then you have like, well, in some stores, you know, that aren't like Lorcana focused, like, you know, like the game stores you go into and they're just, you know, it's a Magic store, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they don't even know how to like give out the prizes effectively. Like I sat down, I went to a new game store just to see what their local scene was like. And it was me and the two people I invited to come with me. We just showed up and then nobody else showed up. So we just sat down and played in there, but they didn't know like what to give out for League too. So they just handed us all of the pins and like promos.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like, well, you got like people that don't even know how to like hand this out effectively. They don't read, like if you just have some employee that didn't set it up the first time, you know, they just, I just think inconsistent is a good word, right? You don't have consistent like feedback loop for Ravensburger, and you don't really have a consistent, like, it's up to the players to create like the local like competitive scene. And I think they could just do a little bit more to reward that, right? If you have like a group of, like, I'll just say the Tigers, right? You have like 10 or 12 Tigers, and we're trying to find out where to play weekly. Like that's on us. You should get, like, at the end of the day, I think we should get a little more for our time to like organize 10 people to come play at a game store. Like I don't think it should be up to the game store to do that. Like they just happen to exist in the place we're all trying to play anyway. So it's,
I've seen like there are some good competitive local scenes right now, right? And like Kayfabe on Tuesday, like that's the one that I know is like, if I want to go and play test, like I'm gonna go to Kayfabe on Tuesday because that's where everybody who's serious about playing the game is playing. There's gonna be 12 to 13 players there every single week. You're gonna get good play testing in. You're gonna have some fun while you're doing it. I feel like that's, to me, one of the better stores. And then also, I know Thursdays, Game Grid, Lehigh, they do their Win and Enchanted on Thursdays. That's got a lot of really good competitive players that go and participate in that. It's far for me, so I wouldn't make that trip personally, but I do know that like if you're in the Lehigh area, that's a good place. Riftgate on Saturdays is always got a pretty good competitive scene. And the one thing that I keep telling folks is like, just kind of play where the Tigers play, because that's going to be where you're going to get a pretty good competitive scene.
That's right.
Right? And so Riftgate obviously has the Tigers on Saturday, and then Kayfabe has the Tigers on Tuesday. I don't know. Do you guys make the trip down to Lehigh to play there on Thursdays?
100%.
Yeah.
I go anywhere, dude.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's that. And, you know, for me, I
Oasis
personally
do their
play,
Sundays?
Yeah. I personally play at Oasis on Sundays. Less of a, like, hard-nosed competitive scene, except for the last 2 weeks where Nate James and I have been there just jamming games, trying to figure out different combo decks and stuff like that. And I've been really trying to understand dogs better. But yeah, like there's a couple of really good local competitive scenes on the weekly basis. But to your point, Sam, there's no reward for being competitive at those weekly events, right? And I think Ravensburger wanted those weekly events to be very introductory in general, but as a competitive player, you have to play consistently, you have to play frequently, you have to practice frequently. And I think if they had two echelons within the competitive play, you have one that's like, hey, or within the weekly play, you have one that's like, you pay a little more for this one, but you're going to have prizing. And then the other one that's maybe you pay less, or maybe you pay nothing and you can get all the promos. right? Like the free promos that they're handing out, or the stickers, or whatever, right? Like you have a little bit of a different entry echelon there.
Well, I think more than that, they need to convince the more casual crowd to sometimes be competitive, I think is the major thing, right? Like some people just don't like competitive, and that's completely okay. But I think the rewards for competitive should entice the more casual players to sometimes branch out.
Consider it.
Yeah, maybe like if your favorite card becomes an alt art, like, and you can only get it from a competitive tournament that week, right? Like you can only get it from playing in the competitive weekly, wherever that is, right? I think that would drive a little bit more engagement for the formats, because as it's set up right now, right, it doesn't matter what you do, it's up to the game store, and the game store is always just going to give you whatever for whatever reason, right? They don't have a real reason to be like, this week's constructed, this week's play at your own pace, right? Because they get the promos regardless. But if they had a system set up to entice, get more people just involved with competitive play, I think that would be really nice. Like you should see our group chats when we talk about like going to kayfabe on Tuesdays. All of us just post our like how far the drive is. Just a screenshot of the map. Like here's it's an hour drive, but
this is the distance. But it's like where else are you gonna go? Because you can't play the the unnamed online client too frequently, or else you kind of lose a grasp on the meta, because it doesn't reflect what you have locally ever. It's this weird amalgamation of so many different places combined in one, and you have to be able to play locally in some ways to be able to prepare for set champs, and then also you want to take our own like local spice to the DLCs, to the bigger tournaments, because that may give you an edge in comparison to the rest of the country that's maybe not thinking about the game in that way.
Well, along with that too, like I've made my strongest friends just playing card games, right? Like so
same.
Some of the people that I'm just going to be friends with for life, I met exclusively playing card games, like going to a tournament. So I think more than anything, it's the get people together for a reason. They'll probably stick together. You just create community that way.
The one challenge I will say, and this is coming as like a person who's really kind of developed a love for competitive play over the time of this card game, was that the one thing that really sucked about competitive play for me early on was the barrier of entry of the cost of being able to say, I can't afford a deck that is going to keep me competitive against these other players. And so I think one thing that stores really would need to adopt in that same vein of like a competitive play is almost like a proxy system of saying, hey, you can play this deck, or like a loner deck situation or something. Like, I don't know. It's really tough because as much as I want to play competitive, there are decks that just cannot win competitively. And if you're missing certain cards, you're just not going to be able to win. So
it's a pretty slippery slope though, because it's just like,
that's just a thing that's universally true in card games too, right? Like,
right.
You do have to spend a little bit of money, but I think just for like if we did it my way, right, and you have a more competitive scene that gives like different quote unquote better prizes to entice a casual person to play, I don't think that they shouldn't be they should be incentivized to like play and do well but not win the thing. So I'm not sure if it would just be a participation, like come and show up, or like top 8 in that event or something. I don't know. But to your point, like all the leagues I go to, we just allow proxies.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I would do, just allow proxies. That way you reward the people that are doing their research, even though they may not have the product. They know what they want to try out. They know what kind of deck they want to test, and they want to bring it competitively. Just allow the proxy.
Well, and to that point, as a competitive player, do you want to play against a deck that is a homebrew that has 0 meta cards in it, or do you want to play against a deck that you're probably going to see at a DLC?
Depends on what round. I think if I'm about to do my winning in, I want to play against the guy who just brought his homebrew. But no, I'm just kidding. I think I always want to play against the guy who's going to give me a run for my money. So if you play full meta, but like 20 of your cards are proxies, I'm not going to care. I just want tell me what it does. Like tell me what card it is, and we're good.
Yeah, I think that's my approach on it. I almost get not annoyed. I just get flustered, I think, when I'm playing against a deck that I'm like, I'm literally never going to see this at a serious tournament.
And that's kind of the problem with like the online client too. You just never know what you're going to see, and you're not playing against a person, so you just have this like ambiguous. Now I'm locked into playing this for the next 10 minutes. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would really like to see that continue to be normalized in certain competitive aspects. I think if you get to a tournament like a set champs, obviously, you have to have the cards, right? You can't play a proxy set champs.
Sure.
I feel like that's not appropriate. But I feel like if you're wanting to encourage people to get more competitive, you have to open up the door to say, hey, we're going to remove this immediate barrier of entry of having to have the card and say, hey, play what you would like to learn how to play. And then if you like it, go get those cards so that you can play in the set champs and go buy those cards. And I think that would help the resale market too, because I know a lot of people in the community like to rip packs and I'm going to go and sell stuff. Like, I think that would help a lot with that, where people are trying stuff that they wouldn't normally try out. And then they're saying, oh, I actually really like the way this deck plays. I'm going to go spend the $30 on a Hades because I need one of them or whatever, right? I think that would be really beneficial for the community, is to see kind of normalizing that a little bit more in the competitive scene. But
to
Hopefully-
add to the homebrew thing, in Milwaukee, after like the whole tournament goes done, they post like the spreadsheet of like what decks were like represented and stuff. In that specific event, there was 13 red steel decks, and I so happened to play 2 of those 13 decks. I mean, it's crazy to play one of them, but I played 2 of them. One round 1 and then one round like 4 or 5.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
And then the round 1 guy's deck had like 40 uninkables.
that's insane.
Yeah.
It's just,
40 uninkables.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to play against that guy if I had my way.
You just like pick. It's like a lottery choice.
Get that guy every round, please.
Yep. Bring him in. All right. Well, speaking of homebrews, speaking of decks you want to try, should we jump into our deep dive of the 2 decks? And I mean, one of the reasons why we have this awesome guest on our show today is because Omar is one of our resident experts on the Ruby Amethyst list. So let's jump into our deep dive of Ruby Amethyst. Omar, you have some deck lists for us, right?
Yeah, I showed it in the deck listing on this Discord.
Nice.
But if I guess you want, I can just go ahead.
Yeah, I pulled it up. It's
Now,
up on the
full
screen
disclosure, when I build decks, I like to add cards that like are just like people don't really think about it.
Yeah.
But I like playing like these really bad cards because I think they're good.
now. There you go.
But shout out first of all, shout out Ekroth. Like, I might mention his name a lot throughout this podcast. Like, I'm gonna glaze him. He's my man.
Yep.
Because I think he's like the best card player like I've ever met.
He's a
Yeah,
final
He's the
boss,
one that
man.
like first, he first convinced me to play this deck because I built it for the CCQ in Vegas. Because I was pretty much a lock, like play blue steel, because I wasn't like familiar with like the whole format. But then I saw him play it at the locals the weekend before, and I was like, oh, I need to play this deck. And so that's what I played. I played this deck, and then I mean we could talk about that tournament experience too, but yeah, we can go into the deck first.
Yeah, jump into the deck. I mean, tell us what you think. Some of the strategies of these cards. Like I said, they're up on the screen, so anybody who's watching on YouTube will be able to see it. And then if you're listening to the podcast, just open up the deck list that Omar posted, all reliable in the deck list channel.
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's pretty standard. Like, I think the 1-drops are really good. Like, I think the Palace Guard and the Tinkerbell really like implement different strategies. Where they're like, you have like a big body that has to like your opponent need to deal with, and your Tinkerbell also like a big body in the sense of like it has more attacks, so it can deal with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This specific event particularly, we thought that like Iago was like gonna come back, and like not a lot of people were gonna play against it or like have anything prepared against it, which is what happened to be true, right? Like, so like in my eyes, like a lot of us Tiggers played this deck. We maxed out on this card because like it was pretty powerful. But me in particular, I didn't play an out to this card because I didn't think anyone would like think this far ahead to like max out on it. And which throughout the whole tournament experience, I didn't play like against a lot of Iagos, maybe like 1 or 2, and like the whole like day 1 of me playing this deck.
Well, that's funny because we were talking about that last week with Iago, where we were kind of concerned that it was starting to drop off a little bit. And Sam, you came in and was like, hey, it's just a great card. Like, it's got so much versatility. It's a good card to play in general. So it's cool to see that you capitalized on that.
I think like I said, this deck was made to like for that event specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like now like it's a little different. Like people are playing the out, so like you probably wouldn't max out on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a little bit different. I think the best card in the deck is probably either the Headless Horseman or Lumiere. Lumiere just like being able to like just stat modify initially instead of like the Madam Mim Challenger that like only modifies when you attack is just very, very different and very huge. Because it makes your Diablo a 4/3 instead of a 3/4 or a 3/3, I mean. So it's really, really big, and also makes like all your other characters like really huge as well. And like the stat differing with like between that and Headless Horseman is like very, very crucial, because then like in that one particular turn when you put Headless Horseman, all your things get +2. So like your Elsa can clear a genie, or like your Iago can clear someone else's Iago if they have that too, you know. So it's just like a lot of like the modifications you get with those two cards is like very important in like the mirror and like in the purple steel matchup too.
Well, and it's the one thing that I saw playing against this deck is the double Lumiere is just damning. It just comes down and it ruins your soul, because you have two Lumieres now that you have to deal with. Extra damage modifiers, right?
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say about the Lumiere too is like a lot of the times nobody's gonna know you're gonna play like Ruby Am right at the beginning, like of a game. So especially kind of now too, where Ruby Amethyst is kind of taking the back seat a little to these purple, you know, the purple steel decks. If you just play like a Palace Guard and then pass, if they like exert their Captain Hook or something, your Lumiere like gains you so much tempo. They just takes out the like, it can be, you catch your opponent off guard quite a bit, which is like a really cool, you kind of tech in your pocket. It makes it so like if you're really like trying to win, you just don't quest with your 1-drop as like a purple steel player. And anytime that purple steel's not questing is another turn you get to like crawl your way back. So it becomes like a kind of game of chicken, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that even playing dogs, where I'll play dogs and I'll be able to play out like a Webby or the Tramp that lets you increase strength that way. It's just one of those things where when your opponent's not expecting it and you're able to capitalize on that and punish it, it's always going to give you that tempo, right? And that's, I think, where this deck has a lot of advantage, specifically with Lumiere.
Yeah, anytime your 1-drop becomes a 2-for-1, it's like insane. So
yeah,
that's incredible.
Well, I think the other one that this list runs that I think is really just difficult to run around is the library. The library is such a crazy card because it's 8 willpower. It comes in there, it's going to continue to gain 1 lore, and then also you just move all your characters there, and you're drawing a card off of each one that gets banished. I think it's got this really fun position, especially if you find the spot to play it when your opponent has to deal with other threats on the board as well. It's a really, really fun card inclusion in this list for sure.
But I mean, I think the spicy picks in this one, and Omar, I'd love to hear your opinion on them, are the Sleepy Hollow and the 3-count Hercules.
All right, yeah. So Sleepy Hollow, that was my own card, right? And like Sam heard me like praise about this card so much from day one. Out of the 5 first rounds, all those game ones I won because of this card. Like this card like overperformed. And like I remember there was a game too where like Ben and like Taylor watched me play. And then there was a point where like I had Sleepy Hollow and Demona in my hand, and I thought so hard about which card to ink, which obviously it should have been Sleepy Hollow, but I was like, no, this card is just like too crazy. Like I need to keep it. But if I ink it, then I'll have 1 card left in the deck, or only 1 copy left in the deck to find for it. So I ended up inking it. But yeah, the whole idea in this card is like it makes like pretty much I guess like any of your 2 questers quest for 2 more, or for 4, I guess, or any of your 1 questers quest for 3. So like let's say for example like you play like you go 1-drop 2-drop, and then you want to go like Sleepy Hollow or something else, like whatever you want to do, right? Like maybe later on in the game, like you still have the Diablo, you like put Sleepy Hollow on, then you put Diablo in there, quest for 2, then you banish it, quest for 2 more, or you gain 2 more, and then your Diablo gains evasive. So that way, like if they don't have the evasive out, then the next turn you gain 2 more lore because you're protecting it, pretty much giving it evasive that turn. So it makes all those like cards, like you can be like your Sisu, your Demona, Headless Horseman, Hercules, just all like quest for like pretty much 4 more, because you're gaining 2 with the hollow and then 2 the initial turn if they don't out it because it becomes evasive. So
that's exciting.
Okay, so you're playing it more as reach than you are with aggro. So that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Now that we know a little bit more about this meta too, I'm thinking like if you played the Sleepy Hollow and you had Ursula Whisper in your deck, you might have been going crazy. Like,
I would have been crazy.
disgusting.
That I would have been far ahead, but I didn't think that far ahead. So
yeah, we weren't. It was too new of a meta.
No, yeah, for sure.
Whenever a character quests while here, you may banish this location, gain 2 lore, give them evasive until the start of your next turn. That was pretty wild.
Yeah, no one knew what this card did. Like there was a game where like I played against Purple Steel, and like literally all on my field was like Demona and then the Sleepy Hollow in hand, and I was at 16 lore, and the guy was like, oh, you can't like do anything, so he quests out, you know. And next turn I'm like Sleepy Hollow, win, and he just became so sad because it was a game 3. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. It's like that's like also I like this card because it just like closes out games like where like you shouldn't win, you know, like in that specific scenario, like I was like in a losing situation, so the Sleepy Hollow ended up winning me that game. So
There was a ton of
there's that.
rounds where like I'd go check on everybody and I'd go see Omar, and in his hands just a Sleepy Hollow he's holding for like the finishing blow.
Just holding on to it, waiting to drop it down and get a couple of lore
Yeah.
real quick. Yeah, I mean, because you can
That's
play
sick.
it, you can move a character, quest with that character, banish it, gain the 2 right then, and then your character's also evasive. So if they don't have an answer, then you're going to gain yet another lore next turn.
Yep.
Yeah, that's wild. I like that a lot.
So-
That's fun.
4 ink for 2 lore, essentially, as long as there's a character on board. Okay.
And you can give your Hercules evasive too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That can come up quite a
Just
bit
gross.
actually, especially now. Like if you
That's
got like a
nuts.
headless horseman play and then your Hercules just takes out Iago, like you're super far ahead.
That's nuts. Yeah, I like that.
But
a
it has
lot.
to quest. It has to quest though,
That's the
right?
quest though. Yeah. So you
Oh, it
can't do
has to
that.
quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty crazy though. I like that a lot.
I think Hercules overperformed too. Like I didn't know about like the whole interaction between Hercules and Elsa until like round 4 or 5.
Ooh man,
So I
that's
saw
such a
someone else do
nasty
it.
one.
Yeah, but yeah, it is nasty where you go 4-drop and then 5-drop Elsa exert something and then Hercules takes it out and then you also could take out something like a little weenie too. So like you're
Take no
taking out.
damage. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Hercules Elsa takes out an elephant. Like that's just crazy.
Yeah, I did that
Yeah, it's
play
nice.
once, and it felt so good because I was just like, you're not going to exert your elephant; it's just going to sit there all day, and then
Right.
being able to exert it, take it out with both Hercules and Elsa, and take 0 damage off of it
Mhm.
was just wild. So
Another kind of weird hero in that deck is Dumbo.
yeah,
You
yeah,
just wouldn't expect
That's
it.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Dumbo's a hero.
So
Are there
weird.
any other? There's no other heroes in the deck, right?
Yeah,
There is the
Sisu.
Sisu.
Yep.
Sisu.
Yeah, Sisu.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, Dumbo
Dang.
catches people off guard a lot because you wouldn't expect the elephant to be a hero.
And I mean, it's actually really strong to be able to use Dumbo to challenge other evasive characters because people
Yeah.
are running a ton of other evasive characters that you can, clear out with Dumbo. And people are just
Mhm.
expecting you to never use your Dumbo to clear an evasive character in most cases because they think you want to use it for, the card draw or you want to keep your Dumbo as healthy as possible. But if you have the Hercules out, that doesn't matter anymore. So
Especially with like Lumiere and Headless Horseman too, because you get a lot of times where your Dumbo can just swing for 4, and it really catches people off guard when it takes out a genie and takes no damage.
hmm So how would we feel this deck compares or is able to compete into the current meta with like the blurples and whatnot? Is it still
It's hard.
competitive or?
It's tough.
Yeah.
it's got to be
Okay.
on the play. I think it's really advantaged on the play against a lot of decks. On the draw, it has a hard time, I think, with the Amethyst Steel for sure. And obviously if the combo deck or the blue green deck gets its Exodia, then there's not much you can do with it.
Yeah, you can't come back.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah, I think the problem with this deck is going second, your comeback cards are all Amethyst.
Mhm.
So, like, if Red had a comeback card, it would be a lot better poised into current tournaments. But because it's all Amethyst cards, you're just like worse inherently than the other Amethyst decks, right? Because like
Yeah.
Purple Steel is just a little bit better. Like you have really good options into Purple Steel as Ruby Amethyst, but like that's just the one matchup, right? As a
Mhm.
Ruby Amethyst player, you just have less tools against the rest of the meta than something else that has more comeback mechanics. So I think the fact that your biggest comeback mechanic is Demona, like every other purple deck has Demona, so what are you doing better than them? I think
But-
that's where the question comes up.
The other thing that's interesting too is that obviously you called this one Ol Reliable, Omar, but this does not play like Ol Reliable did, right? It's
No, you have to modify it with what we have now.
right. It
Yeah.
plays very aggro-y. It plays very. I mean, it definitely does have answers later in the game, which is super helpful. But I mean, even when I've been playing against this with dogs, I feel like this has a slight advantage over dogs most of the time, as long as I don't hit the right. Like if I'm able to use Under the Sea at the right spot, I can usually do some pretty good damage to this deck. If they overcommit on Genie and Elsa and they don't have the Lumiere in play, you can do some pretty good damage there. But it definitely feels like it's still pretty precarious to play this in most cases, especially when you get stuck on the draw. But on the play, this tends to eat me alive as a dogs player for sure.
You remember Ben playing, I think it was top 4 at the CCQ, and it's very awkward for the dog player when they have Chromacon and you just slam down like either Elsa or Headless Horseman.
Yeah. What do
Because
you
it's like,
put
okay, do
back?
you want to like exactly like do you even want to
Shoot.
put back any of them? Because like every turn you're just gonna keep exerting one of their things or banishing one of their things. So
Yeah, it actually made it like every time Chromacon hits the field, right, your opponent just starts thinking forever.
Yeah.
Like you just see them put their head in their hands and think. It was actually the exact opposite reaction for this one. It's like I play a Headless Horseman, and then you're like you saw the
then
Dogs
they
player just
think,
put his head in his hands, like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
like what do I do here?
Like, am I supposed to even put any of these back, or am I supposed to just
Yeah.
leave it and hope that they can't clear my stuff? Like,
And he got kind of frazzled too because he could have started bouncing his own stuff, but he
Yeah.
didn't think that far ahead. So like Ben just kind of steamrolled him after that.
but to be fair, I think Amsteel is the same way though, right? Like, there's been scenarios where I'm playing against Amsteel as a Dogs player, and I'm like, oh well, they have an Elsa and a Hades on the board, and like I don't want to put either of those back in their hand, so what do I do?
Yeah, Headless Horseman just adds like a layer to that because
Yeah.
not only does it like take out your tramp or like any of your good cards, right? It also just gives strength to the rest of the board. So it's just really awkward.
Get really favorable board clears because you're clearing their board, but also not losing your characters because you're able to hit with some of these lower strength but higher willpower characters.
No, but I do think this deck will, like we've been saying about every purple deck, right? It'll find the tools it needs to start succeeding again, and you can already see that in some of the like more recent lists. They're starting to play more like kind of in the same vein as Purple Steel, where they just include a bunch of weird one ofs or two ofs or like different strategies, right? I see some Timothy Q Mouse popping up, or more of like the evasive package on the 3 spot. Instead of just slamming Sisu, you can play like Tinkerbell or the Peter Pan that does the same thing.
I think it's a good deck, and if you, and like we've said every week too, if you enjoy the way that it plays, you should probably play
it.
Right? You should probably just play the deck, because if you like how it functions, then don't let the meta determine it, especially right now with this meta. We talk about blue-green being able to get its Exodia. We talk about Amsteel being kind of the Swiss Army knife. But in the end of the day, those decks can all brick. They can all have bad plays. They can be piloted by somebody who doesn't know how to pilot them well. So if you're comfortable with this deck and you think that this is going to be a deck that gives you an opportunity to win set champs, you should just play it.
Have fun. That's the whole point, right?
Heck yeah. But it's a really exciting deck. Thank you, Omar, for sharing this list. I love the inclusion of the Sleepy Hollow. Now going to have to look at that card a little bit harder going forward. Right?
Card is crazy. I'd probably play it again.
He played it once and he'll play it again.
He played it once, he'll play it again. All right, moving on to our next deck. And this was a recommendation yet again from our guest, which is the Moby Duck deck, or the Zan Syed one-turn kill combo deck.
Here, I'll post the list
Go ahead and post up the list so I can pull that up. And let's talk about this crazy one-turn kill deck that has just really been lots of fun to watch, and has many ways to beat you. So
yeah, people thought this deck was kind of like a meme, but no, this deck is like actually real.
yeah, well, and I think even Kevin was mentioning before the podcast that people have been playing Amethyst Amber without the Monstro Great Illuminary one-turn kill combo, and actually having success with that as well. So
I could talk for a while about that, but to keep it short for like this episode, I'll just talk. I think if you're playing this deck without the combo in it, you're doing yourself a disservice.
I agree.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
The thing I'll just say is like the list that doesn't have Monstro in the combo is just like worse blurple. It tries to do the exact same things with worse cards. So I think if you're playing these colors, you're playing this combo. But the combo, like Omar said, is very real. I've been playtesting it like the last couple weeks, and a lot of decks just do not have an answer. So the second you drop Monstro, if they don't win that turn, you win.
Yep.
Or they're doing something crazy. Like I was playing against Connor, and it's like he has to trade 3 things into the Monstro to like live. So
and then you top deck another Monstro.
Yeah.
So,
and it's kind of like all of these like quote unquote combo decks, right? We've talked about blue green, like you just have to have, but if you have the nuts in this deck specifically, there's very little your opponent can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting. The one piece of feedback that we gave on this deck several times was make your opponent play out the combo. Don't let them just tell you they have it, right? Make them play it out. But in that same vein, if you decide to pick this deck up and play it, you better know how to get that combo off, right? And the other thing that's really exciting about this is I think it gives you multiple lanes to approach with, where you can say, hey, I'm going to obviously have the combo in the back of my mind the whole time. But in the meantime, you're playing out genies, you're playing out Elsas, you're playing out Hades, you're playing out cards, like Lantern and Huey. They give you that opportunity to play big bombs for very cheap. So, I mean, you're still really kind of ruining the other player's life a little bit while you play this deck, regardless of if you have the combo or not. But then you also have that kind of ace up the sleeve, basically, to say, hey, even though we've kind of gone back and forth and we've traded all game and it looks like you're starting to take a little bit of momentum, here's my Monstro, and I'm telling you, you have to answer it this turn.
And that's a terrifying position to be in as an opponent, to be like, oh, well, despite what I wanted to do, my game is over next turn unless,
This list that we posted in the deck list is the list that Zan took to the first place finish at the CCQ, right?
Right.
But since then, there's like a couple modifications you can make to this list and make it a little bit more competitive too. Some of these options, like the Donald Duck, you can play the Circle of Life, but it's not really necessary. But you can start adding in the Greatest Criminal Mind, which gives you more options. Like we were talking about, there's a version of this list out that doesn't play the Monstro, and it just involves you add Criminal Mind back in and some other Amethyst cards. But if you give it to this list, you can kind of you get to beat the mirror almost 100% of the time, right? Because you could just Criminal Mind their Monstro. But also it helps against some of your worst matchups. Like Green Blue is kind of like a poor matchup, and so is Blurple. But if you can stop Green Blue from drawing with Clarabelle, it's really hard for them to get to their combo to beat your Monstro. So Greatest Criminal Mind, you can sing with Cheshire Cat, just kill their Clarabelle outright. So it helps with some of your worst matchups, and it's just a great card in the format right now anyway. You already have a pretty good matchup against Purple Steel as long as you're hitting your cards. So that's like the matchup their Criminal Mind is the worst in, but you can just ink it in that matchup.
So what's the opening curve on this look like? I mean, obviously we didn't really talk about the opening curve on Ruby Amethyst, but I think it's very self-explanatory. So if you just kind of follow on the 1, 2, 3, 4 drops on Ruby Amethyst, you'll be okay. But with this one, I mean, what does our curve want to look like? Because I've always found it's really tough to figure out when to play like a Lantern or when to play other cards for that.
Well, if you don't see a Lantern on 2, you're just really sad.
Yeah, that's your
you
ramp.
start having to play like really, really weird stuff. Like you have to play that Iago, which is like a pretty good card, but it just trades immediately whenever it challenges. You kind of want it later in the game, but your desirable curve is just 1 drop in a Lantern into Genie, and then hopefully you get another Lantern, and then draw your Monstro, right? Because if you can play, like, if you go 1 drop Lantern, Genie, and then Lantern, Cheshire Cat, that's like a pretty good curve. Because the following turn you're going to have 7 ink. You can play it, then you can start playing like your guidebooks and your Elsas or whatever you need to do to win. One kind of cool thing you can do with this deck is everybody kind of thinks of We Know the Way as like a combo card, right? But if you just have Cheshire Cat on the board, you can sing this card and it's just a draw card. You get to add back whatever's in your discard. I was doing that a bunch of times where it would just catch my opponent off guard, where like if they kill my Genie, I can just sing We Know the Way with Cheshire Cat and then get a chance at Genie to play for free, right? Otherwise, it's just draw a card. Yeah. So it's like it's a card I can sing and draw a card with. So it helps with consistency. Don't be afraid to play it. Like you usually need to discard 1 copy anyway. So like don't think it's a dead card in your hand. You can always just play it out.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to discard it. You have to have 1 in the discard for the combo to work anyways. So might as well get 1 there. But you obviously just have to be careful with not losing the last one, because it's very easy to throw a copy of We Know the Way underneath a Cheshire Cat and not know it's there, because there's no way to look at that.
That would suck.
Yeah, I think this deck has a lot of legs, especially in a Set Champs meta. Like if you just want to go and have fun, like pick this deck, right? You're gonna combo your opponents more often than you think you will, and I think you're just gonna have a ton of fun playing it. I had a lot of fun with the times I play it. I think if you're thinking about taking it to the DLC, however, you really want to be confident in why you were doing that.
Yeah.
Decks are more prepared for it. It's got a little bit of a consistency issue. Like if you're not catching your opponent off guard, now that they know how to play against it, it's doing worse, right? Especially if they Clarabelle your Lantern, it's just like it's over. So just have that in the back of your mind if you're making that decision to play it at a DLC. But it is a very real deck, and you could very well see it in Richmond in high amounts.
There was one time I saw Zan playing this deck, and he actually played the Allendale, before he ever even had close to the combo pieces out, which blew my mind. Like I just didn't understand that, considering if you throw the Alanadale in the Inkwell, it's over from a combo perspective. But I don't know, like I've seen definitely research what Zan Syed does with this deck, because he obviously piloted it perfectly at the CCQ. So you want to get that down before you go, and then to that point, when you're playing against it, understand some of the things that they're trying to do. As we were saying here, it sounds like it plays very like Blurple, right? They're trying to get their ramp down on 2 so that they can get their bigger bombs down. So if they do miss their 2-drop ramp, that you can take advantage of that. You can punish that a little bit, go really hard in the paint, try to get underneath it maybe, or try to position yourself to where you have a little bit of lore advantage to go after it. But I mean, I think from a weakness / strength perspective, this deck has very little weaknesses when it does what it does, right? It just wins the game, 1 turn kill, right? That's the idea behind it. But
it has a pretty poor matchup into Blurple specifically. Just they get to draw their Hades a lot more often, and they have Into the Unknown as well.
Right.
So if they're playing Magic Maneuvers or even Elsa, like the chance that your Monstro hits the Inkwell is pretty high.
Yeah.
And then once it's in the Inkwell, you're never getting it back. So it's that's a spookier matchup, pretty hard to win. But also, if you're not hitting your exact curve, other Amethyst deck kind of just eat you up too. So
yeah, it's a very exciting deck. I think it segues really nicely into our next discussion, which is the top 6 decks that you will play at your set champs. What are they, and what are you going to do with them? So before the podcast here, we were kind of chatting back and forth, and we went through our top 6 decks, and this is what we kind of came to as basically what you need to look at. So first off, I think in my opinion, the best deck, but I know we'll have differing opinions from the podcast folks, but blue-green, which is the combo deck, the Malicious, Mean, and Scary Prince Philip combo deck. That's the top deck in my opinion. The next one down, Amsteel, which is our Swiss Army knife deck, but also it keeps topping tournaments. It keeps winning tournaments. So it's a great deck. Blurple has jumped right back up in there. It is ready to be in position. Obviously, as we just mentioned, it gives that Moby Duck deck fits, right? So it's a great deck.
It's been my favorite deck to play the last couple weeks. It just feels the best. I think I love the curve. I love what it has in the top end. It just feels really good. Play around with Guidebook. You'll just never go back. That card's awesome.
Yeah.
Card's crazy.
It's good because you just play it, have it ready for later, and I think you're able to get around things like Bend to My Will.
Yeah, it has a really high ceiling because you don't have to pop it immediately. Like, you can play it, then activate Demona, right? Like, you can Demona up to 3 and then Guidebook for 2 more.
So, really solid there. The next one we have is the Emerald Amber. So there's 2 different iterations of Emerald Amber. There's a Dogs iteration and then the Circle of Life iteration. The Dogs iteration is more aggro oriented, but it does have some combos like Under the Sea that can really take control of a game. And then you have the Circle, which is more combo oriented, where you're trying to get these big bodies into your discard early so that you can sing a Circle of Life or play a Circle of Life and get those big bodies out of the discard for very cheap. Well, actually, you're wanting to sing it, obviously, not play it. But
so they have a lot of the same elements. Like, you're playing a bunch of the dogs anyway, just because Tramp can come down so early with the normal dog's curve. And then it's like a great target to sing with Circle. So they share some elements. That's why we combined them. But there's also the hybrid, like, Circle of Life dogs deck too. So you have a lot of options in the Emerald Amber sphere.
But it's a solid deck. The next one in the list is that Moby Duck deck. So that 1-turn kill Zan Syed special, definitely a solid deck to be able to bring to your set champs and win it. And then finally at the number 6 slot, we have Ruby Amethyst, which we talked about. It's got some really challenging matchups, but it is technically going to be considered that old reliable, right? It's that deck slot that you can bring it, have fun with it.
If you've played this deck, you really just understand, but it feels so good to play. Like, you like, your mulligans are not hard. You get like, every card you play is just impactful.
The
it
curve
feels
is straightforward,
all of the time.
Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Play out big bodies. Play out your Lumiere. Play out your Diablos, whatever you can, and just go.
Hercules, just anytime you challenge by that card, you are jazzed. It feels so good.
Yeah. And then we have honorable mention that's not in these top 6 decks, but it is honorable mention for a couple of reasons, but it is that Emerald Amethyst burn deck, which I've been kind of calling the Speci special. But it is that just, I don't care what you're doing. I'm going to gain lore every single turn and continue to gain lore and push the gas to win. That is very simple deck from a curve perspective, right? Because you have a lot of 1-drops in there, and you have a lot of cards that are, their whole goal is to gain lore on play. And then you have your...
I'm going to throw that list into the deck list too, just so you guys are aware. It'll catch you off guard if you're not prepared for it, because they just gain a million lore out of nowhere. And there's not a lot you can do about it. So
I was like, there's not a bunch of counterplay to it, which is unfortunate.
There's almost
you
zero.
can do some item shenanigans, right? If you have like Clarabelles in your deck and stuff. But yeah, this deck also, if you're more inclined to, it costs like $30 total. That's
the other big benefit of this deck, is that it's very inexpensive. So this is a good one that we were talking about how there's that barrier to entry for competitive play. This deck bypasses that barrier significantly, so go pick this one up and build it, and you can play with it in your set champs and probably win more games than you lose with it, because it's just tough to play against. It's a lot of fun to watch when it goes good. It does have bricking capabilities. If you don't see your enigmatic Eagcaster or your Amethyst Chromacon, you're kind of in a bad spot, because you need that card draw constant so that you can play 2 cards every turn. You want to have at least 1 Inkcaster out. You probably want up to 3 of them out, because if you get 3 of those Inkcasters out, you're cooking. You're cooking with grease.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that deck is mostly in its items. So
I think as long as people don't have hatred for items, you should see it be able to be played. Some people are teching to get rid of items, but not necessarily really heavily. And so even if they get rid of one of your enigmatic Inkcasters, you're usually big chillin', because you're gonna draw another one. So, and you can activate the Inkcaster the turn you play it, because it is a card that you played, and then you just have to play another card on top of it. So it's just all this lore gain off of all these cards on play effects, which is really exciting. And to what Kevin said, there's just no counterplay really. It's just, you're kind of stuck if they get what they need. But yeah, those are our top 6 decks for set champs coming up. As we mentioned earlier in the podcast, make sure you're commenting what your favorite deck is. Maybe comment what you think you're going to take to set champs. Maybe you don't want to tip your hand there too much. I understand. So, if you don't want to tip your hand, don't do it. I'll tip my hand. If you see me at set champs, I'm playing dogs. So just know that right away. I don't have time to incorporate any other decks into my playability. So if you see me, I'm playing dogs. But and then reminder of Sam's bounty from last week with when you play Blue Steel. If you win with Blue Steel and you have Mob Sawing in there, Sam's going to get you a pack. So reminder on that one.
Absolutely. Gotta hold him to it.
We didn't mention Blue Steel in our top 6 decks. It is still a good deck, but it is definitely taken more of a backseat now that you see decks like Blurple.
It's a bounty for a reason. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
right?
It's definitely a bounty for a reason. So.
I think people are starting to post their set champs schedules as well. I think Nerd Store down in Orem posted theirs, and they're going to have a free entry. So keep an eye on the Ravensburger Play Hub to see what's getting posted there. And hopefully you guys have a great season and go win all of your Daisy Duck Enchanted promos.
We like to shout out Oasis games all the time just because they hook us up with product. But theirs is on Sunday the 4th, I do believe. Do you know what time it is at, Justin?
Sunday the 4th at 11. Let me double check. I believe it's 11, and I will be judging that one because I need to get some
nice
last minute judging accolades in before Richmond so that I know what I'm doing. But
I hope to be there as well. So come stop by, say hi to everybody too. If you listen to the podcast,
come say hi.
Sam, do you know you're playing for Richmond?
No, probably a purple deck though.
No, I believe he told me he's going to be playing mono emerald. So.
That's great.
Mono green
for Cody.
Cody,
he won
that's right. Our pack winner.
He won the pack, and he's the mono green player. So set champs for Oasis is the 4th at 11 a.m.
What about you, Omar? What are you going to play?
I'm pretty locked on purple. I think it's just has the most consistent toolbox, I guess. You have a lot to play with. I play a lot of wonky cards on my list,
in my testing rounds, like the last couple weeks, I've been liking Blurple the most, so that's at the top of my list. But if somebody comes and says like this is the call, I'm not opposed to switching. At the set champs, I'm probably gonna play a little bit of Blurple just to see if I want to take it all the way.
I'm not playing dogs because I think it's the best deck. I'm playing dogs because
dogs to beat me.
No, I'm playing dogs because my son's playing Ruby Amethyst, my wife's playing Blue Green, and we talk about the affordability of this game. This is why the affordability is so big on me. It's because I have 3 players playing the game.
Yeah, you got to build 4 decks.
Yeah, we've got to build 3 decks to make sure that I can actually.
You don't want to buy 4 play sets of Hades and Demona,
bro? No,
honestly,
I'm good. Hard pass. I even said like before the set started, I was like, "There's no chance we're playing 2 different blue decks because of Cindy's initial price." Yeah. And even now, I mean, it's still like $25 a card, like which I technically think is low for Cindy. I think she's more of a $35 card in my opinion, because I think she'll be in most blue decks going forward. But yeah, I think I can't afford to have play sets or 3 play sets of everything. I do try to keep 3 play sets of most cards, but the legendaries, we stick to 1 play set and go from there.
That's fair. Well, good luck everyone out there. And I guess Happy New Year. We won't see you till after the New Year. So
yeah, we won't be chatting until after the New Year. But after the New Year, we will be talking about whoever won the mat, and we'll be talking about our last 4 giveaways on the packs and the gift card there. So
yeah, huge shout out to Omar too for hopping on today. That was awesome.
Yeah,
thank you, Omar.
And of course, love being on here.
Heck yeah, dude. It was fun times.
We appreciate you.
All right, guys. Well, I think with that said, I have nothing else to add. Anybody else got anything to add before we drop?
I'm good.
Shout out Ekroth.
Have fun at your set champs. That's all I'm going to say.
Shout out Ekroth.
Shout out Ekroth.
Shout out, he's my goat.
Shout out Final Boss.
Yep.
All right. See y'all later. Have a great day.
Bye.